Class is back in session again for many Americans in their 40s. A tough job market, stagnant pay, and the AI boom has more workers returning to school to pick up new skills. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, more than 1 million people in their 40s are enrolled in either undergraduate or graduate programs. And as the cost of college continues to jump, people are increasingly turning to trade schools and apprenticeship programs. Mike, you going back to school?
No, I'm not. But I think it's great that some people are, that they're going back. But I think what's going to happen also is because of technology, where it is right now, you're going to see more and more people starting their own businesses. You're going to see people who have always dreamt of, they had this idea or that idea. So I think it's going to be an entrepreneurial economy that both young people and older people, and while some won't survive in that world, some are going to strike it rich and create companies that we're going to be talking about in the future. So I love enabling people to go out and live their dreams, start those businesses, and hopefully we can invest in some of those.
Jackie, is the downside of this, though, people feeling like they have to pivot because times are changing? And while I love being nimble and pivoting, being forced to do so because you've just been laid off can be hard for some.
Or maybe you've just sort of maxed out on what your potential is right now with your skill set. So think about it. We're talking about people in their 40s. Let's take the median range of 45 years old. You were in college 25 years ago. The world has changed a lot just through technology. Forget the AI stuff that we're dealing with right now, but just the general changes that we've seen in technology. And so, we make choices that sometimes you make the best choice that you can at the time with respect to what you're going to study. We talk about how young people now make some silly choices with respect to what they're going to study because you can't actually make money doing some of the things that they want to do. But assuming everybody kind of went down the straight and narrow path, it's a different world. And as Dagan is talking about, people are working longer. They want to retire later because they want to have income coming in to be able to supplement their lifestyle. Some may feel that they need to do that, and skill set changes are necessary. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think having an open mind, going back to school, when I was in law school, I don't know if you had this in yours, but there were a handful certainly of older people that were going back to school and they wanted to get their law degree. And I thought that was really cool and just, an opportunity to do something else later in life.
Yeah, Dagan, your thoughts?
You won't need your law degree if you have large language models.
Don't tell me that. I just got it, Dagan.
No,
but I was going to say something like that, but I'm glad you did it.
If you're starting a business, you don't need a law degree because you can have AI agents potentially do your legal work for you, or at least part of it. A lot of this is just keeping up and making sure that you have all the available tools, one, for your job, for your future success, for your business. But also, I just looked at, if somebody in the workplace isn't going to teach you how to be more productive using these tools, you got to go out and figure out how to do it on your own. And one of the statistics that was reported was that almost half of workers are now using AI at least occasionally, which is up 20 percentage points just from a year ago. I think it's probably more than half at this point. And it's not just searching for information. There are just so many available tools out there.
So here's my question about that then. 1 million people in their 40s are enrolled in undergraduate or graduate programs right now.
Yeah.
Is that a good idea? Is that where you want to go in this economy, to grad school or a PhD program or even undergrad?
Well, you just told me my law school was obsolete.
See, I wanted to say that. Dagan took that, so it takes some of the edge off of what I'm saying. I love the fact that you've got so many going to apprenticeship programs, skilled trade programs, because there's a one-to-one, here's what you're learning, here's what you're going to do. But man, one of the profiles in here is of somebody going back to do a PhD in their 40s. There's one thing you can do with a PhD.
Teach.
The thing somebody else is doing for you now, which is teaching you. And that's shrinking. That world, I think, so yes, it's good, but man, I think there are better and worse ways to do this right now.
For sure, but I think on an individual basis, if that's your thing, good for you, and maybe they end up being a great researcher, teacher, professor, author. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I think the point is there's opportunities to go to trade school, to go get your PhD,
Yes.
to go to law school. So we live in a country where you have an opportunity at 18 to drop out of school, start a business, and become a
Right.
billionaire, or at 60 go back to school and learn how to start a business, become a billionaire. So the American dream is live and well. So I love. Well, if it works for you, you should do it.
I know, no, Mr. Sunshine, I'm with you, but I'm just saying that in a world of AI, I've always been skeptical of PhDs. I was in academia, so I sort of had some experience with those folks. I think AI is like a PhD underminer, because that's what AI does.
Well,
and so I don't know, the value of that to me is suspect.
You had hinted on that in break, and I wanted to end this segment by coming full circle. And you said that you hope that people go back to school, they create new businesses, we'd love to invest in them. What are the hot new places right now where you see people applying skills, creating businesses, and where you see that American dream alive?
So for us, it really has been AI. So a few of the deals we've done recently, Polymarket, which we've talked about, a prediction market that really didn't. Now everyone seems to be doing one, but they're the biggest and the best. Perplexity, which is an LLM, similar to ChatGPT, has been one that we've been focused on a lot. But now we're kind of going a little bit earlier. We just discussed the company Cursor during the break. That's AI for coding that we're investing in. Suno, which is AI for creating music, which could be,
So
again,
I don't have to
earlier business.
go to school to learn to code or to music school. The AI company will do that, will create that for me.
Correct. But now, just back to your law degree, I think it's great that you have a law degree. No one can ever take that away from you. So
Yeah,
good for
Brian.
you.
No one can
take
Don't
that
let
away.
Yeah,
Brian, don't
Brian.
let Brian take it away.
Can I add to that? I recently had to write something in legalese, and my friend proofread it for me, and he said, "That was great. Did you get it off ChatGPT?"
See?
And I said, "No, I wrote that myself." There's a certain amount that you can pull from ChatGPT or get help online, but number one, you have to trust that the information is accurate, and I'm not necessarily sure I personally am there to trust it 100% in that way. And number two, if you're going to do a complex legal transaction, you're still going to need an attorney. So I don't think we're obsolete just yet.
Just yet. Maybe
It's
tomorrow.
not asking, it's away from asking these bots things, but making them do things for you. American innovation is unbridled.
Agree.
Leave it at that.
On that note, let's look at Tesla. I think we could all sit here and say that is one company that just continues to rocket higher, up 4%, a $477 a share, nearing a one-year high. And I believe the record was $488 last December of 2024, so we're getting close. Basically, Musk confirming that they are testing those robo-taxis in Austin without safety monitors, i.e. a real person in that front passenger seat. A lot of people had been looking at the valuation of this company on AI, on autonomous driving, and confirming that you're able to test that now without having sort of that safety person in the front seat. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, bet against Elon Musk, it just really hasn't played out well for you. So, and you left out the robotics piece of this. So now the self-driving thing, yeah, he's going to do it better than, they talk about Waymo or Uber. He's going to do it better than anybody else. And then also, don't forget, SpaceX is doing a tender offer at an $800 billion valuation right now. So the most expensive private company that we've ever seen, and there's talk of them going public next year. So Elon Musk is...
We've heard all about SpaceX. Taylor wants in on that.
Okay,
Heck
we can
yeah.
talk during
Let's
break.
go to
As fast
space.
as possible.